Just trying to adjust the light here. Is it better without this light on? No, I think it's better with this one on. There's way too much light going on right now. So, welcome to the broadcast. If you're watching this from the VOD, that's what they're called. I've been streaming for 4 years. I can't remember what VOD. So anyway, this is a live Q&A about the future of Gearbox software and publishing. Why am I so nervous? I've done this for 4 freaking years. So I want to make a few points, mostly while people are coming in, before I take any questions. And those points are that the first point is that the Battleborn was a huge freaking failure for the company. Now, I don't mean failure as a game, I mean failure as a product, because I think it was a good game. But a lot of people will disagree with that. Whatever, your opinion on the game is different from your opinion on the product. Product different from the game. So, I know it costs a lot of money to make Battleborn. Battleborn was a company-wide effort. Usually these, I heard an estimate of around $40 million to make Battleborn, a game about the size of Battleborn. It's not even probably including the investment in marketing. So Battleborn was a huge setback for Gearbox Software. I think they knew that, not necessarily going in, but coming out of the experience, they realized that they were in some deep doo-doo. Once Battleborn dropped and sales started coming in, and now it's free to play. So they have to make their money off of microtransactions, which there isn't that much of a player base left to do that. So Battleborn probably barely broke even if they were lucky. So where does that put them now? What kind of budget does that leave them for their next big game, which we all know is the next Borderlands game? So we know Borderlands 3 is coming. It's been seen. We've heard lots of news about it from pretty much every other Borderlands YouTuber right now. And I'll probably be doing my own videos on those, but we don't know, like, based off of 2K's history, if they'll do a good job publishing. Because they lost to Blizzard. Like, 2K is not a small publisher. They published the Borderlands, they published BioShock. They published a ton of innovative products. So why did they lose to Overwatch? Because of the marketing. And for lots of other reasons, but marketing was a main reason at the very beginning of Battleborn's cycle. Or its cycle of its life. And there's also another point where there are other games on the market right now. There's Destiny 2, there's The Division, there's the upcoming Division 2, which I'm personally excited about. So will there be enough space for Borderlands 3 to even breathe with all this competition now? That's something you have to wonder about. Is the Division 2 going to be competition? Is Destiny 2 going to continue to be competition to Borderlands 3? And quite frankly, can Gearbox compete? Like, true, it's going to be a huge endeavor for the company to build this massive game, but will 2K do the right job of publishing it? Will they mess it up? Will they try to say, oh, this is the Division 3 or whatever? Try to compare it to another product like they did with Battleborn and screw it up. I mean, obviously Borderlands is an established franchise with a lot of fans, but those fans somewhat have moved on. Some are loyal still. Some play Borderlands 2 a lot, but a lot have moved on. Like a lot of the core audience have moved on. Um, and we also don't know whether or not Gearbox can recover from a failed Borderlands 3. So we don't know. Because the way I see it, they've already messed up a lot with Battleborn. And I don't mean that from a game standpoint, I mean that from a product standpoint, purely business. That this product didn't perform as well as expected, so we don't know if the budget has been cut for Borderlands 3. And if it has been cut, they'll have to make up for it with microtransactions, which nobody likes in games. So that could potentially lower the amount of sales for the next Borderlands, because nobody wants microtransactions in a single player game. Nobody likes them in any game. So we don't know if Borderlands 3 would even be able to stand on its own if it had microtransactions in it. We just have no clue. We don't know what the product looks like yet. But the way that 2K's been heading with microtransactions in most of their games, I think they made a public announcement saying that they're pushing microtransactions in all their games they publish, and Borderlands 3 is going to be one of them. So we don't know if Take-Two Interactive is going to completely screw the pooch here and just mess with the system that Borderlands has always used with shift codes, and maybe you have to pay $2 to get a golden key. Maybe shift is outdated now and they don't use it anymore. They're using it less and less for Battleborn, or at least they use it a lot less when they launch Battleborn. You would expect like a multiplayer game would have a lot more shift usage, but they didn't use it as much, even when it was their main project, when they were actively developing on it. So using it less and less, maybe they're just not going to use shift anymore. Maybe they're actually just going to switch over everything that shift was for, that you would get for free, over to microtransactions, so they can potentially make up for Battleborn's losses. Because when you think about it, one game funds the next one. So if your previous game was a flop, it's going to be hard to say, oh, well, we'll do better next time, guys, if you don't have the money to pay people to do that. So, will Gearbox do microtransactions? Will they be forced by 2K? We don't know that. And if it does happen, will it affect Borderlands 3's future? And if so, will that affect Gearbox's future? Because we all know a lot's riding on their next game. Like, it's been in the works for probably right after Battleborn started heading downhill. They probably started diverging people off of Battleborn, which was their main game, from Borderlands 2 up until 2016. So it probably mid 2016, late 2016, or early 2017 is how long they've been working on this game. They probably had a very small team up until 2017, late 2016, working on the next Borderlands game. Another point I have here is that they could easily cut costs by shutting down the studio in Quebec. Now, I don't want that to happen, obviously. I love those guys. They're great people that make great stuff with Gearbox. But if Gearbox loses to the Division 2, loses to Destiny 2 in the Borderlands game, they don't have much left. So they have to cut costs. They have to cut, which would suck. Because, well, studios shutting down is a horrible thing. Especially when they make good games. So I believe Randy Pitchford was on Twitter, and he was publicly against this going on. Yeah, so we just don't know. The future looks either really, really good or really, really bad for Gearbox in the future. And I'm obviously hoping for really, really good because they make some of my favorite freaking games. But we don't know if Gearbox can compete with the Division 2 with Ubisoft because that's another very large company with probably just as much marketing budget as Blizzard. And we don't know if 2K can do a proper job publishing anymore. Like, they really messed up Battleborn. They marketed it all wrong, they didn't listen. They didn't really take a look at what Battleborn was as a game and say, this is what this is. They compared it to what Blizzard was doing, which was gaining a lot of hype and saying, hey, this is Gearbox's version of that, when it wasn't. It wasn't at all. Like, it's almost like they didn't listen to Gearbox at all. Like, there was no input from the developers of the game on how their game got marketed. So, a lot's riding on the next Borderlands game. We all know that. Or maybe you didn't. Now you do. But could could Gearbox potentially recover from a Borderlands 3 fail? I mean, I don't think so. Not with Battleborn. Not with Battleborn, not with Alien Colonial Marines, with their reputation right now. It's not the best that it could possibly be, which is a shame because they make good games. Like, what better way to bolster your reputation than to just make a good game? Like, they've never really, not from my personal experience at least, been dishonored. I guess that's the appropriate word, been dishonored by Gearbox or been given the hand by them. They're a good company, and it'd be a shame if they went out of business, but we all know a lot's riding on the next Borderlands game. So, and it brings back the question again: could they compete? Could Borderlands 3 compete? Hey Mags, what's up? I've been talking to no one for like 13 minutes. How's the audio quality? I wish there was a way I could disable the view count on here. I've just been... It's good? Okay, it's good. So I was worrying like there was an echo or something. Okay, it also shows that you're a mod here, so that's good, that works. Uh, okay, back to what I was saying. I don't think the Gearbox could suffer another like critical blow and still stay in business, even with the success of Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel. I just don't think they can survive, even with those three game sales combined, could save them. Well, if it came in all at once, yeah, it could. But probably at the rate that those games are selling right now, they're older games. So there's not any marketing for them anymore. So there's probably less sales coming in from those games that is going to be funding any future projects by Gearbox past the next Borderlands game. So a lot is riding on it. Like, I mean, a lot. Yeah, they're working on the next Borderlands game. They've basically confirmed it without saying it. Like, I believe the current rumor is that they're going to announce it at the Game Awards, but honestly, I don't think so. I think if it's going to come from anywhere, any event, it's going to come from PAX East specifically. But yeah, that's what they've been working on that for a while. Probably early 2017, late 2016. Yeah, it'd definitely be some time because they haven't had that much time to work on it. I mean, at most, it's been 3 years. Not three. At most, it's been like 2.5. if they immediately cut a ton of people from Battleborn and moved it over to Borderlands 3, like the day that that Battleborn launched, and just cut Battleborn developers and moved them over to Borderlands 3, then you're looking at about 2.5 years of development time, which I'm not sure how much time it took between Borderlands 1 and 2, but with the amount of like expectations that people have for the next Borderlands game, people are going to be expecting a lot. So it takes a lot of time to build something that big. And they promised that the next Borderlands game is going to be the big one. It's going to be just as innovative and as amazing as Borderlands 1 from Borderlands 2. So it's going to be like this huge endeavor, bigger than they've ever done. And we're looking at like multiple maps too from because they copyrighted the name Border Worlds. I'm not quite sure they're going to use it because that kind of sounds like a silly name. Borderlands 3 just sounds like a better name to me personally. You can disagree if you want. Shoot. What's your question? Have you thought about bringing other people onto the channel to help you out with stuff? Um, well, I asked you and you weren't interested, but I don't have anyone else in mind, at least to help out with the channel. Yeah, I haven't really considered bringing anyone onto it. It's just something I want to do as a hobby. I don't know. If I find someone that's just about as passionate as I am. Yeah, if I can find someone that's just as passionate as I am that doesn't happen to be doing anything right now, I would definitely invite them to help me out with this. I am in touch with the community, but that doesn't mean I know video editors or people that know how to record a script without sounding like a robot. Uh, I don't really know. I haven't really considered bringing someone onto the team, especially right now, considering it technically hasn't launched yet. Maybe like after after I officially launch the channel, which technically happened in August, but it's actually going to happen next year. So right now I'm just kind of preparing myself for that journey, doing live streams along the way, trying to build up some audience. So whenever I do start it up, there's people there. So whenever I actually start making videos and stuff, there's people already there. We can talk about that. We can talk about that in private though. I appreciate it. We can definitely talk about that. Since you know how to edit too, you've been learning how to edit. It would definitely be very helpful if I had someone who could read the scripts, like edit them together into videos, send it to me, and then I would just like I can do this. I can do this with recording, but I'd rather have gameplay. I'd rather have a quality microphone. Like I would just rather have my professional equipment or more professional equipment. I don't rather than a cell phone to do this. I mean, you can just look up Borderlands gameplay and just use their footage if they don't have anything edited over it. Yeah, we can talk later about that. Yeah, but I'm really stuck on this whole idea of the Division 2 knocking out the next Borderlands, which is a shame. Which would be a shame, not is, would be, because it hasn't happened yet. And honestly, I don't know if it could. I don't know if Ubisoft would be able to maintain the Division 2. It sounds like a really good game. It sounds like it'll have a ton of polish, it'll have all these great mechanics. It'll be just as good as the Division, if not better. Which is my dilemma here because it's a loot shooter. It's competition to Borderlands. So is Destiny 2. We don't know if what's the company behind that game? Activision? No, no, no. No, they're not. They're not behind it. Bungie. I think Bungie does Destiny 2. I'm not very familiar with that game. Um, Destiny could receive a third installment or some huge expansion that could also flood the market at that same time, leaving like no room for Borderlands 3. Then again, if they take their time, like a lot more time than they are probably going to take, they could wait it out until both of those games are a little more relevant. But I don't think that'll happen. Um, and I also don't think that Gearbox could very easily recover from a failed Borderlands game. Because that's their main franchise, other than maybe Brothers in Arms, which was successful before Borderlands was. But Borderlands is what got them to critical acclaim, award-winning AAA kind of company. So it really shot them up. I don't think there'd be much room for a Borderlands 3 announcement amongst like Destiny 2, the Division 2, not yeah, Destiny 2 the Division 2. There's also Doom Eternal coming out, which isn't really competition, not direct competition at least in the same genre. But if Doom and Borderlands 3 are announced at the same time, people are going to be confused as to which one to buy or which one to pay more attention to. Yeah, that's also another thing. I'm not quite sure how much hype there is for a next Borderlands game because I've seen like the speculation videos about Borderlands and they seem to be doing pretty well considering the game hasn't even been announced yet. So I think Gearbox's core audience is still there. They're just kind of split amongst these other loot shooters right now that are a little more updated, a little more new, like Destiny 2 and The Division. And there's probably a few other games that I can't really put my mind on right now, but those are like the big two that Borderlands fans have moved on to. And the big question for me is, could Gearbox compete down? Yeah, well, Gearbox never does that. Gearbox is known for putting a lot of F games, even with Battleborn. Like that was a great game that just had poor marketing, and that's another point on here. I have a little cheat sheet I've been reading off this whole time. Is that will Take-Two Interactive, will they do a good job publishing the next Borderlands game? Because they kind of screwed up Battleborn like completely. And then failed to reinvest in the game whenever it finally went free to play. There was like no marketing for it. There should have been a huge ad campaign if they wanted to really save the game. But it seemed like they just kind of gave up trying to fix it with what little attention they can get. Relationship between Gearbox and 2K right now is not the best. So we don't know if maybe Borderlands 3 will just get like the silent treatment. Yeah, maybe Borderlands 3 could potentially get the silent treatment like Battleborn did after it released. Like there was nothing. There was no marketing for that game after it launched. And there wasn't that much beforehand. So maybe 2K's run out of money to advertise with. I mean, I obviously don't know that. I'm not stating I do know that. I'm just saying that's fine, Max. If you lose connection, I don't really care. I mean, I do, but it won't really matter. Okay, what I'm you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, 2K really needs to step up their game if Borderlands 3 is going to be the critically acclaimed game that it probably deserves to be. I'm going to say probably right now because we don't know anything about it. We don't even know if it exists technically. Know your feelings. And I don't think the Gearbox could recover from a failed Borderlands 3 game. Like two failed games in a row, usually that means your company's going in the toilet. Like if Bethesda doesn't get their head out of their butt and make a better game, like the next Elder Scrolls or what is it? Their next Star? It's not Starbound. Starbound's a different game. What's their sci-fi game? They announced it at E3. I saw it while they announced it live, but I can't remember the name. But anyway, it's a new IP that they're making. If they screw up with those two games, Bethesda's nearly going out of business because those are huge investment, huge return games. So the more you invest, the more you expect to make. And that's true with nearly any kind of product. The more you invest, the more you expect to make. So Borderlands is one of those huge projects, and it's also the main thing that keeps people coming back to Gearbox games. Like with Battleborn, they tried to infuse Borderlands into it to try and entice Borderlands fans to play their hero shooter. But obviously that didn't work out very well, even with the Borderlands style humor in the game and the crazy cast of pretty unique characters. It did not do very well, which also leads me to my next point again. Could the failure of Battleborn affect the budget for Borderlands 3? And could that have negative repercussions on the quality of the game? Maybe the length of the game is a little bit shorter because they were underfunded. Because they kind of need it right now. We just don't know. We'll obviously know as soon as the game hits. We'll know if it's going to be like a Fallout 76 or a Fallout 3. Or actually, I guess New Vegas. People say New Vegas is the better Fallout, but I haven't played it. And I'm not much into Fallout. I like it. I like the idea, at least, of a post-apocalyptic, 1950s game. Or, I guess, 60s? Is it based in the 60s or the 50s? I don't really remember. I'm not into Fallout. Uh, I don't think I've discussed will Gearbox do microtransactions. At least I haven't gone in depth into that yet. So I have a fear that Gearbox is going to go down the route of microtransactions, and they might go down it the wrong way. So what they used to do with microtransactions is DLC. They used to actually give you content for your money. So they do a season pass with 5 additional missions, and they're all very unique, very fun missions that you could just do as soon as you beat the game. So it's just a little bit of extra content that you can buy or for the base game. There was no like skins that you could purchase for $5.99, or no crates that you could purchase to unlock customizations for your character. Yeah, if they ever do, I think it would be a last resort because Gearbox seems to be one of the few AAA companies left that actually has integrity. Red seem to be the only like big companies right now that actively have good integrity, that aren't going to try and screw over their customers with like very bad microtransactions, like gameplay affecting microtransactions. Like paid mods is one thing because that's kind of like additional content, sort of, and it wasn't that expensive. But like hiding characters behind a paywall, behind a randomized paywall, mind you, it's even worse. Like that's even worse than hiding it behind a paywall. Is hiding it behind a randomized paywall that you have to keep hitting in order to get what you probably want. I mean, Randy Pitchford, the CEO of the company, was actively against this, but what if it's not in his control anymore? What if K says, okay, you're adding a store and you're gonna add like a pink Zero outfit or a pink, I don't know, Tiny Tina outfit. I don't know, maybe she's a playable character in the next game. Uh, Maybe there's like a pretty pink bottle that you could buy for $3.99 that you can stick on her head, and that's a skin customization that you can purchase in a store. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It definitely would not be the end of the world if they did that. But I think a lot of people would say, I don't really want to play a single player game with a customizable store in it. Like, that just, even that is a little like, it's iffy. I mean, at the very least, I hope they don't go down the loot box path, the path to darkness, because that would suck. I probably would not buy Gearbox games if they did that. No matter, like, I don't care if I'm the biggest fan in the world, I'm not going to buy their game if it has loot packs in it that affect gameplay. If it's just cosmetics that I can ignore, then I'll probably buy it. I'll probably will just ignore the loot packs then. But if it affects gameplay, screw anything that they make. Great, now I'm gonna have to private this broadcast because I just said something negative about a company I actually really like. So could this be forced by 2K, which is their publisher? Yeah, it's not. That's what I'm afraid of. I think it's would be bad. Okay, I lost my train of thought just now. That's why I have the cheat sheet, so I can just refer to the same 6 points over and over again for the next hour or half hour. So, will they do microtransactions? What kind of it? Tell it's here in your mind, but the video quality is yeeted. Well, it's probably your end because my end hasn't changed very much. Like the front camera here, it's weird. Is that focusing right? That is actually focusing properly. But yeah, will they do microtransactions in the next Borderlands game? That's something that could like be a hitter with this store. Could it have like yeah? You're a good moderator, and I appreciate you being there. Uh, I don't know. Oh, this reminds me. I didn't share this out. What does this button do? That button will change the camera from the front camera to the back camera. The back camera is up against a wall right now, so you would just see darkness if I did that. I didn't do it. I didn't do it on purpose, because the button, like, right there, will change the camera. Okay, there we go. I had to switch to my data because the Wi-Fi here is not the best. Send help. I can't send help. There's nothing I can do. Okay, I think I'm about to make my either my closing statement or I'm gonna just rehash what I just said. So overall, I think this game is going to be hit or miss. It's either going to be a huge miss, it's either going to be a huge hit, or it's going to be a huge miss. I think it's either going to be a huge hit or a huge miss. And the reason I say that is because Gearbox, their last game didn't do very well. So we don't know if their next game is going to be underfunded, which could potentially mean it's a miss. But they're also Gearbox. They make really good games. We know this. We know that they have really top quality people there making like really top quality stuff that a lot of people are interested in. Otherwise, I wouldn't start this channel if there was no interest for Gearbox games. There's also a lot of different factors that could result in this game getting a bad reputation. Like it could include microtransactions, it could be competition to the next Division game or Doom game, or the next, what was that game? Dying Light. I mean, that's a melee game, but it's still a loot game. It has guns in it, it has weaponry. It's a loot game. It's a loot survival game, which is a little different from Borderlands, but I'd still say it's somewhat competition. So it has a lot of competition now, whereas Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2 didn't have all this competition. They were like in an undominated market, and then they just sort of swooped in and took all the attention. Because they invented it. They had every right to do that. But now other people are just like, hey, we like this game, Borderlands 2, let's make it sci-fi. Let's make it like realistic sci-fi. Let's make it like based off of Tom Clancy's books. Let's do all these different things to it. Let's make our own version. And I'm not saying that the Destiny 2 or the Division is like rip-offs of Borderlands. I'm definitely not saying that. They're their own unique games with strengths and weaknesses and like mechanics that benefit and detract from the experience. But they're competition. Like, technically speaking, all games are competition, but it's really only games in that niche of the looter shooter. And the Division 2, Dying Light 2, Destiny 2, especially like with the Forsaken DLC, they could easily come out with something new, with like a new expansion to the game. And that'll cut into Borderlands player base. It may even cut into their sales, which means Gearbox could be over after their next game if it's not a hit. I mean, they might make enough that they can just keep flying under the radar, but I don't know. If they don't peak now, then they peaked at Borderlands 2. That's all I'm saying. If they don't peak with the next game and continue to go up in quality and size and scale and all that good stuff, because we want them to grow. I want them to grow at least, so they can put out bigger, better games. Yeah, it might be it for them. And that would suck, because I don't want them to go out of business. I love their games. I love the people there. I'm hugely invested in the community for this game, or if not for this game, for this company, and their games. But there's a lot of factors here that could determine whether or not this game is a success. So, the future of Gearbox is essentially riding on the back of what they put out next. Like, everyone's going to be looking at them, everyone's going to be judging them, everyone's going to be critiquing their every move as soon as this game is released. Because I know there's a lot of people that are going to be doing that. I might even be one of them. Because I want this company to be better, I want this company to succeed. I want them to be the best that they can possibly be so they can make the coolest games that I've ever played. Like with Battleborn, like one of my favorite games. But I don't think they can recover if this game is a flop. If this game doesn't get enough attention. If this game, like, they might be able to cut Gearbox Quebec, which is something I said before you showed up, Mags. They might cut Gearbox Quebec to save the main studio. Because obviously you cut off a finger to save the hand, right? Now, they might reopen it after, I don't know, say Borderlands 4. But if Borderlands 3 doesn't do well, they're going to have to cut costs for the next game, if they even make one. I mean, a AAA company can only afford so many screw-ups. So, I guess that's all I have to say. Let me just mess with these things, see which one. Okay, so I'm going to go now. I'm going to mess with this until it closes. Appreciate you, Max, for showing up. It's just a shame no one else did, even though it's probably my fault for not sharing a link out. I think it's this X button here. So I will see you guys later.